Hey guys, and welcome to Ascension with V. This is kind of like a random one, more of like a test to see how I like doing these particular podcasts, but something that I wanted to talk about. Again, I always say I set an intention for what I want to talk about on a podcast or for a video, and essentially God's Source Universe just usually flows through me whatever it is that I need to speak about. So if it takes the turn for some random topic, then you guys know that's what's happened. But I wanted to start off talking about the importance of knowing yourself, knowing what your ground zero is like, knowing what your homeostasis is like, knowing what you are like without the influence of somebody else's energy projecting onto you, somebody else's wants or needs or fears projecting onto you. What I mean by that is that there can be a lot of times where, especially if you live with someone or you're in close proximity with other people, perhaps even if you live in like an apartment building, there can be times where you are picking up on the energy of others around you or people, again, that are close proximity to you. And some of the things, that you feel, some of the thoughts that you might have are not even yours. This is even more prominent if you have the gift of clairsentience, like clear feeling. You're able to pick up on and feel the emotions of others, or not even just the emotions, the energies, the frequencies, the vibrations, the thoughts and feelings of others, right? If you have this gift and ability, a lot of things that people tend to do is want to, immediately put up this fortress of protection around themselves. But speaking from experience, I too went through this. And you guys, if you don't know at this point, I'll tell you now that everything that I tell to you guys is from my own personal experience. Like, I have walked the walk that I'm talking the talk about. I am a projector in the human design. So my archetype, my way of being is to literally trial and error my way through life. I do all the things to figure out, hey, does this work? Nope, this isn't for me. Hey, does that work? Nah, that's not it either. I'm a 1-3, so it's like the knowledge and the experimenter of really kind of bumping my way through life. I tried the whole thing of, okay, let me shield myself and block myself off from anyone and anything potentially coming in and affecting me and touching me, and even to the point of where, like, I didn't want people to like hug me. And I know sometimes people have that. They're just, in general, they're not big PDA people. They don't like people touching them. They don't want public displays of affection, especially as strangers. They don't want to be touched. But like, this was like a thing of like, please don't put your energy on me. And I'm still kind of that way when it comes to now. Let me pause here and put the disclaimer in. You shouldn't let just anybody put hands on you, both platonically and romantically. But really though, you shouldn't just let just anybody touch you, because energy transfer is a real thing. Kind of side note here, energy transfer really is a thing. And there be some kind of some grimy energy people sometimes, and you shouldn't just let anyone put hands on you. But outside of this side note, there is this thing of not wanting to. I had this thing of not wanting anybody to touch me because I was afraid of there being the energy transfer. But now, the most of where I am like that still is where I can feel that somebody has some like super heavy, dense, negative energy going on with them. And at that point, I'll be like, hey, I'm just gonna give you the the spiritual hug, because you got a lot going on physically right now. So I do this thing where I use my discernment, to figure out okay, is it okay for this person to interact with me? Is it okay with this person to touch me, kind of thing? And if I get like any kind of indication that like, then I just don't. But there was a point in time to where I did not do that at all, out of, again, having this fear of there being this energy transfer and, oh my God, I'm going to take on everything that they're feeling. Having clairsentience is beyond being an empath, where, as an empath, you are energetically sensitive to the environment's energies, to other people's energies, other people's thoughts, etc. But like having clairsentience on top of this is like an added layer of complexity with this gift, because again, it exceeds beyond the parameters of just what it is that empaths have that ability for. So the thing that I was doing was like, okay, let me put the world of light around me, and let me have like all the armor on, and all of this. I was doing the max that you could possibly do to try and like protect your energy, right? But what I was doing was I was closing myself off to God's source universe. I was closing myself off to my manifestations. I was closing myself off to the things that am trying to magnetize into me, energetically pull into me, that were true and pure and good also. So like I was really kind of effing myself on the highest degree. And I remember I was writing in my journal. I was automatic writing in my journal one day, and I reflected back after I had written, and on the side in my journal I had written, "We can't get access to you because you have blocked us off. Take your guard down." And it was like a month later that I saw it, because again, I was going through this phase. It was almost like going through, I wrote it in my book. If you guys don't know, I have a book coming out called The New Earth Guidebook to Healing and Ascension. And it comes out on February 5th, 2025 on Amazon if you're interested in it. But in the book, I had written in the chapter, The Art of Spiritual Warfare. And I wrote that it was like almost experiencing kind of like a manic episode, like a complete mental breakdown. I was like super paranoid about everything, and it was just a hot mess. It literally was kind of like the worst year and moment of my life ever. And so everything kind of really just had me on edge, and I just didn't want to be, bothered by anyone or anything. But really what it was during that time was that I was going through this massive like deconditioning, this detoxing, and this refragmentation of these lost parts of my mind. My mind had been so suppressed for such a long time. I was on like a lot of medicines, a lot of medications for essentially 30 years of my life. Nah, like 25 years of my life, because it started when I was 4. Just a really, really long time on these things that influence your mindset. And I didn't know who or what I was outside of these medications. And so it was like the combination of, coming off of these medications, and then going through this detox and this refragmentation, where I just didn't go back and look at what I had written. I was just continuously writing in my journal, and honestly, that's what got me through everything that I was dealing with, was journaling. And I highly recommend that to anyone who listens to this. Journal. Write your way through your struggles, write your way through your pain, write your way through your suffering, write your way through your grieving, your heartbreak, your anger, your resentment, your fear, whatever the case may be that you're experiencing. Write it out. I will take a picture and show you guys. Like, I have a Tupperware, like a giant Tupperware thing of notebooks throughout my life, and at some point I'm just gonna like burn them all, because I think it'd be like a really cathartic experience. But of where I had just written everything that I was dealing with and going through. And it's what helped me get through everything. So I highly recommend, when you hear like, oh, you need to journal, like it sounds like a kind of slightly triggering thing. Like, I'm over here going through the worst thing in my life and you want me to journal? What? But it did. It really did. It did help me. So anyways, getting back on it, it took me like a good month to be re-guided to go back and look at what I had written about, or what they had written for me on saying, hey, you have us blocked out. You have put up so much protection. You have us blocked. Let down your barriers. And I'm not gonna lie, when I saw it, I was like, I don't know about it. Because it seems scary. It seems daunting, because it makes you feel like you're just out here in the world, like ass naked, like it makes you feel like your ass is out, and at any point in time, anyone or anything could come and, violate you. It's scary. It makes you feel like you're like this sitting duck. So I did. I sat and I contemplated, like, what do I do here? And eventually I sat and I was like, okay, so how do I do this? And I asked for guidance, and I asked, what are the steps that I need to take to kind of start peeling the layers, unlocking this vault and unlocking this vault, and disassembling this wall and disassembling that wall and this and that and the third. And it took about a couple of months. I would say 3 to 5 months it took me to get out of this like very hardened, like Fort Knox type feeling of protection that I put up around me. And then once I got to that point, that was when, it was it was kind of like that song, like, it's like, I can see clearly now the rain is gone. Like, it's like the clouds just went away, and like the sunlight could hit me and things started to clear up in my life. And then I started like having new experiences coming in, and some of the things that I had manifested or asked for or prayed for, some months and years back started coming in for me, and things started shifting because now, it had access to me. Beyond that, I had gotten out of that fear energy, that fear mentality. I had gotten out of feeling as though everything and everyone around me was a threat. And let me tell you guys this, also side note, but very important side note here, is that fear is such an illusion, and it is a tool and tactic from the enemy, right? To keep you stagnant and in that low vibration, the densest, the most heaviest of energies, of realms, of dimensions. Because there's like a chart. I don't know what this chart is, where it's from, but there is this chart that they're showing me of like where your energy is at, right? Up here being the most highest frequency, the most highest realms, the most highest densities, and at the very, very bottom, in this like narrow little sliver, what I call and envision in my book is the Mariana Trench and the abyss. Down in the crevice of the abyss is where fear lives, right? It's like the lowest frequency and point that you can exist in. And that's where anything negative, any negative energy or entity wants you to be. That I just, for conversational speak here, I'll just continue to call it like the enemy. That's where the enemy wants you to stay, because that's where you can be controlled. That's where you can be manipulated. That's where you can be kind of molded and shaped to the enemy's liking, right? But outside of that, once you break through the barrier of fear, you then have access to all the other higher realms and the higher frequencies and the higher densities of existence. Right. And it is impossible for the enemy to influence or penetrate into those realms. Right. So the control is lost once you reach a certain frequency, once you reach a certain energy once you reach a certain vibration. So I began leaving that density, the Mariana Trench, the abyss energies. And so I was no longer in that fear and that paranoia thing. And I didn't feel like everyone and everything was a threat to me. And I began more and more kind of coming out of my cave and allowing people to see me and allowing people to interact with me and allowing people to be close to me. Now, don't get me wrong, like I still am very much, I'm an ambivert, right? So like kind of almost equally portioned and extrovert and introvertness. But outside of that, really honestly, like I am, I'm very introverted. Like I like my space and I like my alone time, and I really need to be alone to recharge and recoup and rest. So it is still, foreign for me. It is still a little difficult for me to allow people to be around me for a long amount of time, to be like intimately like in my bubble. But it's not from like it's not from like a fear or paranoia perspective. It's just a preference. It's just me, you know. But outside of that, once I let go of that of that fear, and I came out of having that giant, Fort Knox wall of protection around me, I was so much freer, so much happier because I was moving. Like I was no longer stagnant. And that's another thing. It really did. It stagnated me from moving forward in my life, because again, when you're in this density zone, when you're in the abyss, when you're in the Mariana Trench, in that crevice, you can't like ascend. It's almost like when you're scuba diving, right? If you're at the like Challenger deep in the ocean, the deepest part of the ocean's depth, the amount of pressure that's on top of you would make it impossible to rise. Do you know what I'm saying here? Like you would have to have so much. I think they use like a chute almost to be able to rise there, or it's like a crane that rises the submersibles from that depth. Even the little submersibles kind of have to have a mechanism to help rise them back to the surface, right? So like imagine you being just a person down there in that depth. Like it's impossible for you to rise, to go while you're still in that heaviness and that density and that fear and paranoia mentality of like, oh no, I can't let anybody get close to me. Oh no, I can't let, anyone touch me. I can't let anyone, I have to protect myself and I have to protect my energy. And like, yeah, you do, but there's a way that you go about doing it. And the way that you go about protecting yourself and your energy is quite the opposite of the way that you think it is. It's not you close yourself out and encapsulate yourself with this wall of protection and this wall of energy. No, no. It is you allowing your heart chakra to be so open, to allow your heart's energy, your love energy, the things that make you this this giant Care Bear energy to surround you, to allow your love to be the repellent of anything that is of negative energy, that is of a denser, of a lower frequency or vibration. Literally, once you reach a certain point, your energy, your authentic signal and energy becomes a repellent and an immediate filter for anything that's on bullshit, for anything that is coming towards you with any kind of ill will or ill intent. It becomes a filter for people, places, and things that cannot and are not in alignment with you and your highest self. Your tool is to allow your love, your energy, your care to be what radiates out into the environment, to encapsule you with its protection. That's what it is. It's when you crack your heart open and allow your heart chakra to truly be open and to truly shine, instead of closing yourself off to love, or closing yourself off to the world, or closing yourself off to, whatever the case may be. You are able to then go out into the world without fear of people, places, and things attacking you or coming at you in some negative way or manner. Your heart is what repels things that are not for you. It's almost like it's so blinding. Like the light and the love energy is so potently blinding that it's like, oh my God, my eyes, to anyone or anything that is trying to come up from the depths. Because remember, there's no light in the Mariana Trench. When you're at that abyss, when you're in that Challenger Deep, there is no light. That's why the fish and the creatures there have, that's why the fish and the creatures there have bioluminescence, because they have to produce their own light. There is no light that reaches down in that depth. So these use this example, these creatures that could be trying to creep up towards you, like your love energy radiates so brightly that it's literally like, oh my God, my eye, to anyone or anything that's trying to creep up from the depths. And this is the best way that I can try to describe it to you guys. But I just want to stress the importance of not putting up the Fort Knox of protection around you and walking around with, like, the knight's armor on all the time around people, because it just F's you in the end. Speaking from experience, it closes you off from your guards. It closes you off from your guidance. It closes you off from your all the things, right? And it makes you slightly kind of like repellent to your things that you have sent out there into the universe to magnetize in. Please keep that in mind, and I'm going to wrap this episode up here. Again, it was kind of an experimental thing, just to see how I liked it, and also to see, how you guys liked it, and we'll go from there. But I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you guys on the next one. And don't forget to get your book on February 5th, 2025 on Amazon, The New Earth Guidebook to Healing and Ascension. I'll see you next time. Be squad.